Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning into Politics in the Pulpit here on your hometown station, the show where we view the world through the lens of God's infallible Word. I believe we have a great show for you today. We have two guests on the show. In just a few minutes, we'll be joined by Rabbi Mark Blazer, and we'll be talking about some of the nuts stuff that is happening on our college campuses, as well as some things that might be going on here at our local college, College of the Canyons. And then at the bottom of the hour, to continue that conversation about COC, we'll be joined in studio with local favorite Steve Petzold. The whole show today will be devoted to the rapid rise of anti-Semitism in America today, and in particular, how our places of higher education have become breeding grounds for all things anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-Bible, and yes, anti-white. Our nation's places of higher education were on full display last week during a congressional hearing where the presidents of three Ivy League schools, Harvard, MIT, and UPenn, could not clearly and unequivocally answer the most basic questions regarding the genocide of the Jewish people. Out of the three presidents who gave testimony last week, Liz McGill from UPenn has already resigned, and there is mounting pressure for Claudine Gay of Harvard to do the same, even though I think she'll probably not resign nor be fired, mainly because of what color she is. Now, if you're a Christian conservative, you already know that high schools and colleges have been for years nothing more than indoctrination camps for leftist and Marxist policies. Again, as conservatives, we're informed. We know, and we knew years ago, that the way to get the next generation back on track, or to get the next generation trapped, if you will, would be to hold their attention for 4 years in these higher places of education. So it's both refreshing and a bit frustrating when media lapdogs like Fareed Zakaria from CNN finally say the quiet part out loud. I don't know if you heard this over the weekend. Here is a abridged clip of Fareed talking about what we've already known for years. Clip 1.
But first, here's my take. When one thinks of America's greatest strengths, the kind of assets the world looks at with admiration and envy, America's elite universities would long have been at the top of that list. But the American public has been losing faith in these universities for good reason. 3 university presidents came under fire this week for their vague and indecisive answers when asked whether calling for the genocide of Jews would violate their institution's codes of conduct. But to understand their performance, we have to understand the broad shift that has taken place at elite universities, which have gone from being centers of excellence to institutions pushing political agendas. People sense the transformation. As Paul Tuff has pointed out, the share of young adults who said a college degree was very important fell from 74% in 2013 to just 41% in 2019. In 2018, 61% of those polled said higher education was headed in the wrong direction, and only 38% felt it was on the right track. In 2016, 70% of America's high school graduates were headed for college. Now that number is 62%. This souring on higher education makes America an outlier among all advanced nations.
Well, duh. We already knew that. And it's great that Fareed Zakaria and the folks at CNN have finally caught up with the rest of us. We have on the line with us Rabbi Mark Blazer. He's the president of the Jewish Life Foundation. The foundation's mission is to promote Jewish culture. The majority of its educational programming airs on Jewish Life Television, JLTV. It's the only international TV network dedicated to uplifting Jewish values and programming. He has served as the spiritual leader of the Temple Beth Ami in Santa Clarita, California, right here in our beloved valley since 2000. He's a community leader for more than 20 years, and he's also a chaplain for the LA County Sheriff's Department and has served as chaplain for the California Department of Corrections for several years. Rabbi Blazer, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for programming a show about such an important set of topics.
Rabbi Blazer, I think we're having some issues here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. I can hear you strong.
All right, let's continue talking here. Rabbi Blazer, tell me a little bit about the JLTV a little bit.
Sure. So Jewish Life Television was started by my father. Actually, it grew out of his radio program and originally, and then a TV and newspaper for serving the Jewish community out of Los Angeles. And then about 16 years ago, the 1 hour a week television program that was broadcast out of KSCI Channel 18 here in Los Angeles and syndicated nationally became the 24/7 network, the first Jewish channel in America. So today it's, for years now, it's been on DirecTV. It's carried on Channel 325 on DirecTV, and we're locally here. Most people watch us on Spectrum, on Charter Spectrum, on Channel 469. And then, we're on the different streaming platforms as well, because now a lot of people are watching through those things, but we're on Zumo. We're on some of the other platforms, Distro, Roku. So, a lot of people are watching the network through that. And, of course, we also stream live through jltv.tv, our website. You can watch it live, too. So, we have a national carriage, but also we get viewers from around the world, interestingly, from some of the least likely places are watching us regularly as well, at least through the internet. So, and we get to actually put out some, I think it's one of the only places to get some of the information, some of the Jewish perspective on Israel and the Jewish community of America, on the world. And, we have regular Jewish worship services for the holidays, for the Sabbath. And we have some great partners, some people that are doing some great work with us. One of our senior people involved with the network is actually John Voight. John is a producer of some of the programs and a part owner of the station, actually. He just produced a show called Friends of Israel that we did, and we did a wonderful 1 hour documentary last year with President Trump on the Abraham Accords that John hosted. So, we dabble a little bit into politics and into what's going on, from that point of view. But, primarily it's Jewish. It's Jewish news, it's Jewish information, it's Jewish culture.
Sure. Well, I'd encourage folks to
spirituality.
Encourage folks to watch Jewish Life Television, JLTV, and to give that a try. Mark, let me ask you a quick question before we jump into the whole Ivy League debacle, or in the wake of that from last week.
Yeah.
You've been intimately involved in the case of Ventura resident Paul Kessler, Jewish man who was killed by a pro-Palestinian protester just a few weeks ago here in our beloved Southern California. What can you tell me a little bit about the ongoing efforts there with that situation?
Well, I can tell you that, I've been involved with that, got brought into that just before he passed away while he was still in the hospital. I wasn't at the rally, but a friend of mine, Jonathan Oswax, who actually was at our temple on Friday night to kind of tell that story, and as we were celebrating Hanukkah, to talk about modern-day people who are standing with Israel, and as the Maccabees did thousands of years ago, occasionally give up their lives. I mean, who would have thought that holding an Israeli flag on a corner of Westlake Boulevard and Thousand Oaks would result in death? But I've seen the footage. There currently is a person who was arrested and charged, who was released. A bail amount that was set in the millions was reduced to $50,000. The person was able to get out immediately, and from what I understand, and from the people involved in criminal law in California, have pretty much told me that the accused will never spend another day in prison, even if he's convicted, even if he pleads guilty to the two crimes, one felony assault and one felony involuntary manslaughter, that he'll never serve one day. And we don't know that for certain. The hearing, the preliminary hearing that I went to, wasn't even a preliminary hearing; it was a scheduling hearing that I went to a couple of weeks ago in Ventura. They basically said we'll be back in court in February, and we assume that even if he pleads guilty, he won't serve a day in prison. So this is deeply disturbing. We've actually posted up video, not only of the full video of the aftermath. We don't have the actual attack, but we've actually posted up the aftermath of what happened, not only with him on the ground, which the news agencies actually used that footage that we had. And we didn't take it, but we had access. We controlled the access to it, and we released it. Most of it was blurred out because of the brutality and the gruesome nature of his injuries. But on top of it, when he was taken away by ambulance, which we also have on video, that the perpetrators, and not just the person who attacked him, but the other people involved there, continued spewing hatred and, quite frankly, Islamic propaganda, not just Palestinian or political propaganda, but literally religious messages of hate. Screaming that Jews and Christians were doomed to hell. That as Muslims they were not afraid to die, while we're afraid to die.
I would love to have you. I would love to have you back on to have that discussion, Rabbi, because I think you and I have probably got a lot in common there on that one.
You'll have the video, and I'll send it to you, and you can send it out to your people too. I took a hesitation in posting it first, quite frankly, because I was worried about my own safety and security.
Sure.
I'm not joking. I have become deeply troubled and deeply afraid after seeing what's happened in our streets. Because that happened, the attacks with verbal attacks, and literally you can see people screaming in people's faces with bullhorns. That happened right in front, and you'll see the sheriff's officers right there as it was happening. Yeah,
that is an amazing situation. I'd love to talk to you more about that, but let me turn our attention quickly to the topic at hand with the last few minutes that we have here during this half hour. I don't know if you were able to hear Fareed Zakaria, that little clip that I played, who just figured out, just in the last couple weeks, about the Ivy League schools and questioning the fact that they have become basically politicized. Or do you think a guy like Fareed is just trying to look objective in light of last week's debacle up on Capitol Hill? What say you, Rabbi?
Well, I give him credit for saying it because, I mean, it is, as you said, it's blatantly obvious that this is happening, and this isn't something new. This has been going on for now. We're going into 2 generations. I was a product of University of California, San Diego, and I can tell you that university, and I was a history and poli-sci major, that at the time in the 80s and 90s was already dominated by people who had a Marxist and anti-American and anti-Israel position. And I believe that there's actually, in most departments where it comes to history and poli-sci in our state, and we have some fine, I think it's one of the great things about our state is our state university system, but as they're ranked so high and as the Ivy League schools have now completely been exposed, for years now have had litmus tests that faculty couldn't even be hired unless they had anti-Israel views. They literally couldn't be hired. And so this isn't something new. If 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 presidents gets removed or resigns, the problem will still be, how do we get 40 years of indoctrination out of the universities? And so it will take a generation of active work to fix this problem.
Why do you?
It's not just anti-Israel, and you said it. It's anti-Americanism, and it has been. And the best we can do is hope that our students can walk away from it without being infected by it.
No, I completely agree, Rabbi. Why do you think this? We got a couple minutes here left. Let's make the next couple of questions and answers brief here so we can get as much in. Why do you think that the Jewish people in America today have, by and large, voted Democratic, which I would say is against their best interest? What say you on that?
I would say it was well intentioned, but it was based on a belief that somehow people would be helped, and again, I believe it was well intentioned, but it was wrong. And so people who have gone about trying to help people, but in the process have hurt. It happens all the time. It's part of, again, the problems on the left in general. A lot of people who are liberal are well intentioned in their intent to help people, but of course they hurt them through creating dependency and creating a sense of irresponsibility.
Speaking of places of higher education, we live here in the beautiful Santa Clarita Valley, and COC, College of the Canyons, is just over our shoulders here. They have yet to sign on to a statement of support for Israel against Hamas. Why do you think COC is dragging their feet on this? I know there's supposed to be a vote today, but why do you think they've been kind of hemming and hawing on this? You got the last minute on this.
It's very simple. It's a very simple answer. They are in no way going to take on the state board of community colleges. They're not going to depart in any way from the agenda of state educators, which is at best neutral on the subject of terrorism. That's the best we're going to get. So no, they're going to fall in line behind their hierarchy, which is again part of a state that also includes this on a K-12 level. We've been fighting very hard to make sure that this doesn't happen on a K through 12 level as well.
Rabbi Mark, would you agree to come on again?
Absolutely. My pleasure.
I think the conversation was great, and I want to thank you, Rabbi Mark Blazer, for calling in today and helping us out, fetter this whole situation with higher education. You're listening to Politics in the Pulpit here on your hometown station. When we return, we'll be joined by local favorite Steve Petzold as we continue our discussion concerning COC and other places of higher education. This is your holy host. All right, we're back here live on Politics in the Pulpit. This is your holy host, the Bishop of Santa Clarita, Pastor Jerry R. Cook. It was great talking to Rabbi Mark Blazer, and we'll be having him on another time here very, very soon to talk a little bit about the whole Muslim problem. Not to suggest there is a problem, but definitely from his perspective and some of the things that he has seen over the course of his ministry here in Santa Clarita at the temple where he serves. I have with us today a local favorite, those of you out there that know Steve Petzold. He, of course, had a birthday yesterday, and he turned 39 years old, as Jack Benny would say.
Yep.
A little closer to that, Steve, there. I want you to kiss up on that mic, all right, Steve?
Here we go.
And, Steve, tell listeners just a wee bit about yourself in 30 seconds.
Well, I've been active in Santa Clarita here since about 2016 in a political manner, and I go to the city council meetings frequently, and I also am attending on a regular basis College of the Canyons Board of Trustees meeting because I feel that is an important institution here in the city of Santa Clarita.
And this is one of the reasons, if not the reason, why you're with us today, Steve, is because your desire, and our desire, frankly, is for the COC, the College of the Canyon, to sign up with the We Stand Together with Israel Against Hamas declaration. And if I may just read that briefly, Steve.
Absolutely.
It says, quote, "We are horrified and sickened by the brutality and inhumanity of Hamas, murdering innocent civilians, including babies and children, raping women and taking the elderly as hostages, and not the actions of political disagreement, but the actions of hate and terrorism. The basis of all universities is a pursuit of truth, and it is times like these that require moral clarity. Like the fight against ISIS, the fight against Hamas is a fight against evil. We, the presidents and chancellors of universities and colleges across the United States of America and the world, stand with Israel, with the Palestinians who suffer under Hamas's cruel rule in Gaza, and with all people of moral conscience." And there are some coalition founders and several signatories here on this particular document. And what do you want COC to do today, Steve?
What I want them to do at tonight's meeting under agenda item 6.3 is to instruct the chancellor to sign this statement and to forward it to them so that their name can be on this list of over 100 other colleges, which happens to include Arizona State, University of Arizona, Notre Dame University, the president of the United Negro College Fund. So this is a distinguished list of people who've decided to take a stand against evil. And it was a little bit depressing for me to hear the rabbi talk about the fact that they're never going to sign it. I'm prayerfully hoping that they will take the right step tonight and sign it.
And what time does that meeting start tonight, Steve?
It starts at 5 o'clock at College of the Canyons, the University Center, 3rd floor. So if you want to come out, you can, and you can speak publicly or,
How long is that meeting usually, Steve?
It can go 3 to 4 hours. So this item happens to be at the end of the agenda, and that's not deliberate. That's typically where it would belong. I am going to ask them to put it up front because of the number of people that I expect to attend tonight, so that we can dispense of this item and move on. So,
would you suggest that there is some interest here in our community for folks to actually come out to this event at 5
yeah,
o'clock?
I'm looking forward to at least 3 or 4 people. I mean, it's hard to tell exactly how many people will show up, but I am in contact with regulars who really try to make a positive influence at College of the Canyons in the policies that they have.
What is your take on the student body there at COC, Steve? Do you think there is still confusion as to whether it needs to be a stand with Israel or against Hamas? Do you think that COC is exempt from some of the greater problems we're seeing across the nation? What do you say, Steve?
Well, I know that they're not exempt, but generally speaking, I don't feel a lot of passion either way from any of the students. I've been walking the campus. So I was confronted once by a person. I've been putting up these posters, the hostage posters that you might have seen on the news. This is an example. The baby Kafir Bibas, who is in all likelihood dead, but has not been accounted for yet in Gaza. He was kidnapped with his brother and his mother, and it's presumed that they're dead. This is a Hebrew one. But the college student life office and the security has been very good at accommodating my request to put these posters up. It's been very troubling to me to know that they have in many instances been torn down, which I think is a new experience for College of the Canyons. Typically, they don't have politically active posters there. I mean, it's the sociology club is meeting, or sign up for international trips, or whatever the case might be. So this is a new experience for them. But I have been severely disappointed in the chancellor and the board of trustees in taking action to make sure that anti-Semitic activity on the campus is arrested and addressed. So I would say that they have an empathetic indifference towards it up until now. I hope that changes tonight.
Yeah, I just saw a poll that was just put out today, or maybe a couple days ago, that suggested that a pretty sizable majority of young college students are actually in support of Hamas. And of course, my contention has been the reason why they're in support of Hamas is because we have a feckless bunch of people that are teaching our young people that are anti-Israel, anti-American, anti-white, anti-everything.
Do you really want to go there? Because remember in April, last time we got together, we had Angela Davis coming.
Yeah, what a wonderful person.
We focused on the fact that she had a history with the Black Panthers. It wasn't until recently that I read a book called The American Cultural Revolution that I found out that she's been an avid anti-Semite for a number of years, okay? And she had a...
You're telling me that a leftist is an anti-Semite?
I was naive.
Oh, wow.
But
I thought they were the most tolerant people on the face of the earth, Steve.
The Faculty Association at College of the Canyons invited Angela Davis, an anti-Semite. I mean, she's not shy about it. She believes that Palestine is a litmus test for people to speak on their anti. I don't want to cry on camera, so I have.
Please don't do that, Steve. It's not for good radio.
Their anti-racism series featured Angela Davis.
Wow.
And she was suggested by their faculty association, and the board of trustees and the chancellor did not have the courage to turn her away. So I've only learned about her anti-Semitic policies and position recently, but there it is nonetheless. So it kind of started with this, and at the last COC board meeting, I brought up the fact that the posters were being torn down off the approved areas.
And do you think they're being torn down by students or by faculty or both?
I believe it's students,
Okay.
quite honestly. Although the chancellor made the point that she thinks it's people coming from she implied that people from off campus might be responsible for doing this because it is a open campus.
Yeah.
But as you might know, classes finished up last Friday. I made sure that every approved place had the number of approved posters in position on Friday, the last day of school.
And where those were posted were all, quotes, free speech zones?
Yes, approved bulletin boards and a kiosk.
Yeah.
And when I went back today at 3 o'clock, well, it wasn't 3 o'clock, it was noonish, all of the posters were still there.
Okay.
So that implies to me that it must be a student or students that are doing it. And you know, it went from removing the posters to writing on them. And you can see what they write on here is like Free Palestine. And the Student Life Office has been very good about keeping these. This is not a war, this is genocide, this is ethnic cleansing, spelled wrong. This is a Holocaust, spelled wrong. Right here, if you have a soul. So I'm going to be presenting this to the trustees tonight and letting them know what's going on the campus.
Yeah, you're right. They spelled a lot of these words wrong. Evidently, this is another example of our wonderful school systems, right?
Look at this baby here with Free Palestine written across his head. Free Palestine means cleanse Israel of the Jews. Make no mistake. People say Free Palestine is innocuous. It's like, who's against free, right?
Yeah.
We all like free. But Free Palestine means get rid of the Jews.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the responsibility of local churches here in Santa Clarita, Steve, for pastors to educate their congregations biblically about these issues. How many pastors, how many Christians are going to be there tonight?
I estimate 0.
Now you
Now, whether you come or not, I'm not sure.
Now, you attend a pretty decent-sized church here in Santa Clarita. Why haven't some of those folks come out?
I don't know for sure. They don't have.
Are they fearful? Are they cowards, Steve?
No. Because from the pulpit, they do. You know, they will pray for the peace of Jerusalem. So I don't want to indict the pastor.
So the rhetoric's good. They're just not marching.
They don't want to go into the public square. But I will say the same for like the Jewish community here in Santa Clarita. There's only one gentleman here within Santa Clarita, Dr. Steve Barron, who has really stepped up and said, "I'm with you, Steve. I'm going to be there all the way to the end."
Great.
Okay, but in terms of like the rabbis, they seem to not want to take a political position and go public.
Yeah.
And when I went to a synagogue, the Chabad of Santa Clarita the other day, and I've been actually celebrating Hanukkah this year, which, I light the candles at night and I repeat the blessings. Mm-hmm. And I meditate while I watch the candles. Every night I watch the candles for 30 minutes.
John chapter 10, verse number 11 is the Feast of Dedication. That would be the Festival of Lights. So technically Hanukkah is actually in the Bible.
Oh, I have learned so much over the, I'm enjoying it. I find my comfort in the blessings that you repeat before you light the candles.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
and what would you like to see tonight at the COC meeting, Steve? Do you want to see them to sign and stand with Israel against Hamas? Is that your desire?
Yes, I will say that I will consider it a win if they actually take a vote. Because they have a way of not taking a vote on it. It'll come up on the agenda, there'll be an action item, but you have to get one of the trustees to actually move the item, and you have to get another one to second before you can get a vote.
Yeah.
And what they do is they maneuver around that by saying, well, I don't support it, so they can't get a motion or they can't get a second, so they don't address the direct issue. I will consider it a win tonight if they take a vote. Up or down, I can go with that as a win for me.
And is this the only meeting where they're going to actually be addressing this issue, or are they going to be picking this back up if they do not affirm it tonight?
That's up to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
because obviously we're coming against the holidays here, and they're going to be taking a break.
Well, yeah, there are certain things that they can do, but I don't expect that they will do. So the next meeting is in January, but I wrote the letter according to the education code and the board policy to get them to put it on the agenda. The only reason this is on the agenda is because I followed their policy to put it on the agenda. So, but I have to wait, I think it's 90 days. If they don't do anything tonight, I have to wait 90 days to actually redo it to put it on the agenda.
We got the last couple of minutes here, Steve. We're about a week and a half from Christmas. What does Steve Petzold want for Christmas? And speak into the mic so we can hear exactly what you want.
I want peace on earth, goodwill towards men. But to do that, we have to do several things. And first of all is we have to destroy Hamas. And the Israeli Defense Forces are in the process of doing that at this time. That is an evil organization. If you read the charter of the Islamic Resistance Movement, which is Hamas is an acronym for the Islamic Resistance Movement, it calls for the obliteration of Israel.
Yeah, complete genocide.
So how do you start a discussion?
Yeah.
With that? So I believe the Palestinian people are hostages in their own country. I believe that there are a lot of Palestinians that cannot speak out because of the way the government is organized there. Only 25% of the population. There are actually people in Gaza who are complaining that the hostages are treated better than they were.
Yeah.
Which I find bizarre, but
let me just say, as a pastor here in Santa Clarita, and also as somebody who has his pulse on the community, I'm thankful, Steve, that as a civilian, as a city resident here in Santa Clarita, that you have a voice, that you are speaking up, and that you are engaging. And a lot more people need to do that, Steve. And I'm praying and hoping that tonight that the College of the Canyons will see the light, proverbial speaking, and stand together with Israel against Hamas. That'll be my Christmas present.
I'm going to bring my menorah, but I know I can't light it up.
That's my Christmas gift. Hopefully that'll be your Christmas gift as well. Thank you, Steve Petzold, for joining us today on Politics in the Pulpit. When we return here in just a few moments, we'll be joined by a very, very, very special guest who also has a birthday today on your hometown station. Politics and the Pulpit with your holy host, Jerry Cook of the Freedom's Way Baptist Church. Let me give you a quick shameless plug, if I could. If you're looking for a traditional Bible-believing service to attend on December 24th, Freedom's Way Baptist Church will be doing a 10:30 a.m. morning worship and a 5 o'clock Christmas Eve candlelight service. And of course, this is going to be a traditional, both of these services will be traditional, where we culminate, of course, with the preaching of God's inspired word. I encourage you to come out. If you are interested in Freedom's Way Baptist Church, I encourage you to just go online to freedomswaybaptistchurch.org. If you're interested in a school to raise your children, especially those in kindergarten, give Lighthouse Christian Academy a call. You can find that right at freedomswaybaptistchurch.org and just go up to the link and click that. Here for our final segment on politics in the pulpit today, just 1 week ahead of the Christmas holiday, which, by the way, next Wednesday we're going to talk a little bit about the commercialism of Christmas and how you can kind of get out of that rut. We'll be devoting a whole show to that next Wednesday, so get around the radio next week or watch on Facebook Live as we try to somehow put Christ back in Christmas and take the commercialism out. I am joined today by our final guest of the day. Would you introduce yourself? Who are you?
My name is Serena.
Serena, what is your last name?
Cook.
Cook. And who is your daddy?
You.
You? Who is you?
You.
Me. Is my name Jerry Cook?
Yeah.
Okay. And Serena, I understand that it is your birthday today.
Yes.
And how old is Serena Cook?
9.
9 years old. And is what you're wearing right now something that you got for your birthday?
Yes.
Wow, that is amazing. Can you tell folks out there in Radio Land what it's like to be the daughter of Pastor Jerry Cook?
It's exciting and fun.
Really? In what way is it exciting?
I'm getting cool gifts.
You're getting cool gifts because your dad is Pastor Jerry Cook.
Yeah. And
Oh, really?
Like a lot.
Okay. So what kind of gifts are you getting at 9 years old?
Clothes, art books, and squishmallows and slime.
Squishmallows. Can you tell people what a squishmallow is?
It's like a toy that's like a marshmallow that's squishy.
So that's why they call it a squishmallow?
Yes.
How many squishmallows do you have, Serena?
22.
Wow. How many do you want?
Like 30.
30? Do you know that your mommy is standing in front of my clock? I have no idea what time it is, so hopefully she'll just kind of go over to her left. That's right. Now, let me ask you this, Serena. Where are you going after this radio show is over today?
I'm going to go to Yamato's.
To where?
Yamato's.
Yamato. What is Yamato, Serena?
It's like a place where people cook in front of you.
Is it a Japanese joint?
Yes.
Wow. And do you really like Yamato?
Yes.
What's your favorite food at Yamato?
The miso soup.
The miso soup? How about the steak? Do you like the steak? No? I like the steak. Can you tell people out there what it feels like to be 9 years old? Does it feel any different than being 8?
No.
No.
Feels like I'm still 8.
Feels like you're still 8?
Mm-hmm.
What about next year when you turn 10? Is that going to feel like a major accomplishment?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'm older, like Jerry.
Who's Jerry?
My brother.
Oh, how old is Jerry?
17.
How old is? Do you have another brother?
Yes.
What's his name?
Derek.
How old is Derek?
11. Or
No,
12.
he's 12. No, he acts like he's 11, but he's 12. Yeah. And let me ask you a question. Do you love your mommy?
Yes.
Yeah. What is your mommy's name?
Rita.
And where is she?
She's right here next to us.
Oh, she's taking a video of this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what message do you have for people, being that it's only about a little over a week away to Christmas? Tell us a little bit about what Serena thinks about Christmas.
It's exciting and you get like a bunch of gifts.
Wow. Is it all about presents on Christmas?
Know about Jesus when he was born.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about that. Didn't we read a little bit about Jesus? And who did we talk about this morning who the angel talked to out in the countryside?
The shepherds.
The shepherds, that's right. And didn't we talk a little bit about how Jesus said that he was the good shepherd?
Yes.
Yeah. And is Jesus the good shepherd?
Yes.
He is. So is Christmas about just presents, or is it about presents, family, and Jesus.
Presents, family, and Jesus.
Or how about this way? Jesus, family, and presents. Is that better?
Yeah.
That's right. So tell everybody out there, out in Radio Land, how much you love being 9 years old.
It's kind of fun. Getting a bunch of presents, like a lot. Getting a lot of squishmallows.
Did you have a birthday at our house a few days ago?
Yes.
And was it cold?
Yes.
It was, huh? It was cold and windy.
Yes.
Is that the problem that we have living in Acton, is sometimes it gets cold and windy?
Yes.
It does. All right. Is this your first time on radio, Serena?
Yes.
Is it kind of nerve-wracking?
Yes.
Yeah? Well, how about you say Merry Christmas to everybody out there looking into that little camera, if you would.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Well, there you go. You've got Merry Christmas from the birthday girl, the proud daddy, of course, sitting right here. Actually, my entire family is sitting in the studio at the moment. But we are going to enjoy a little bit of a birthday dinner here in a little bit. But let me just quickly mention what Steve mentioned earlier, as well as what Rabbi Mark mentioned earlier. If you are able to make the College of the Canyon board meeting tonight at 5 o'clock, I would encourage you to do so. And take a minute or so to say something and encourage those board members to stand up for Israel and against terrorism. Folks, even those in the United Nations realizes that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Folks, you don't have to be shy about that. That is unequivocal. It is unanimous. It is global. They know that they are a terrorist organization. And if you are able to get there tonight at 5 o'clock, I would really encourage you to be present and support Steve and others who might be present as well. Also, next week I would really encourage you to be here for the show
listening to Politics
as we
in the Pulpit with Pastor Jerry Cook.
see
Join us
you
every
for
Wednesday
Hometown
at 2
Station.
p.m. right